Chapter 13:19. Yi, who was at the side, seemed to be able to sense his mother's depression and said softly, "Father, Mother also wants to." Gong Yu went into a daze, and immediately, her face and ears turned red. "This how could you say it out loud?" Yi Juetian went into a daze. "My son actually called me just now. Oh my God. Father knows." Yi Juetian smiled. After that, he glanced at Gong Yu. Gong Yu immediately lowered her head shyly, not daring to look straight at him. However, Yi Juetian gently lifted Gong Yu's chin. Gong Yu closed her eyes tightly, the nervousness in her heart as if this was the first time she had kissed him. Yi looked at his parents, and finally, a smile appeared on his face. God Yi finally could not take it anymore. He turned his head and kissed her, causing Lu Xiener's eyes to almost pop out. This guy really kissed her. If she pushed him away, it would definitely not work. Bastard. To actually choose this time, how shameless. Couples seemed to be infected at this moment. They all hugged and kissed each other to express their love for each other. However, Yihua didn't do that. He was silently looking at his subordinates. If his subordinates' emotions were stable, that would mean the stability of the team. In the past, these fellows didn't have any emotions at all, and right now, for them to be able to bring out their emotions to such an extent, it is truly not easy. Dong Huangli and Yi Yan looked at their father and mother. At a time like this, shouldn't the two of you do something? Dad, you are the eldest. You have to take the lead. Dong Huangli thought to herself, father and mother couldn't have gotten into a conflict, right? At this moment, Qingye and the others also looked at Yihua, and when they discovered that Yihua actually didn't move at all, Qingye and the others became angry in their hearts. Could it be that you want us to take the initiative to send ourselves to him? Using Yihua's words, this is your honor. Lu Jing looked at her eldest son and daughter-in-law and sighed in her heart. Although they seemed to be together all these years, she felt that there was a gap between them. This wasn't a good situation. A happy marriage required two people to manage and maintain it. Looking at Yihua and the others, their feelings for each other were getting weaker and weaker. Just looking at them makes me feel vexed. Lu Jing was not the only one who was worried. Even the children were a little worried. Their parents were really abnormal. As a daughter and son, they had to help their parents. Once again, a beautiful figure walked out of the black hole, causing absolute heaven to be overjoyed. Of course, there was also the pig liver prawn. The two of them actually rushed forward at the same time. This made everyone feel that there would be a good show to watch. These two fellows were going to fight today. Dongfang Yuan stepped out of the black hole, and the first thing that entered her eyes was Zhu Tian, and it was even pig liver ting. In terms of appearance, absolute heaven was much better than pig liver mantis. If it were not for the fact that he had arms and legs, he would really look like a pig. You're back, Zhu Tian and pig liver centipede said at the same time. After that, the two men glared at each other. Dongfang Yuan looked at Zhu Tian and said gently, "Zhu Tian, I'm back." Alright then, it would seem that absolute heaven was still the victor of the first round. After all, the emotions were right there. How could pig liver Danglong interfere? Absolute heaven coldly snorted as he looked at the pig liver hyena. You are even thinking about my woman. Are you courting death? Hence, absolute heaven immediately embraced Dongfang Yu and declared his sovereignty without saying anything further. This is my, absolute heaven's, woman. Whoever dares to touch her, I won't even give face to the heavenly emperor. Pig liver macaque was so angry. He originally thought that Dongfang Yuan had gone to train, but that was because he was angry. Perhaps after 12 years, his feelings for her had faded. In the end, I didn't expect that not only did this feeling not fade, it even solidified a little. If that's the case, wouldn't I have no chance at all? What is so good about this absolute heaven? Isn't he just a little handsome? Can being handsome be used to make a living these days? Pig liver macaque, this is the beauty of the soul. What do you know about the beauty of the soul? This is such a sublime kind of beauty that you actually don't know how to appreciate it. Just look at that blue sky red, there are women who can understand his beauty of the soul. Why is there no one who can understand my, pig liver macaque's, beauty of the soul? Pig liver macaque, don't believe it. How about listening to me say a few words? Ignored, the two of you are more or less done. Kissing each other like this in front of an outsider, let me finish my words. Pig liver macaque said gravely. He really doesn't give me any face at all. Dongfang Yuan finally let go of Zhu Tian, then looked at Pig liver macaque and said, I'm sorry, you are a good person. Pig liver macaque, what is a true team? That is bad friends. Following Dongfang Yuan's words, everyone stopped kissing and actually burst into laughter. A trace of a smile appeared on Yihua's face. This is the relationship between Zhu Tian and Dongfang Yuan. How can you possibly step in? Don't even think about it. The pig liver macaque stared blankly at Dongfang Yuan. This was simply too frivolous. Women are all big pig trotters, they all like handsome men. They are all superficial, I won't give up. Pig liver mantis said solemnly. He even looked at Zhu Tian and said in a deep voice, Pig liver mantis, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I just like your wife. Everyone, at this moment, Yihua said gravely, Pig liver roast, it's almost done. Since his honor has already spoken, Pig liver macaque looked at Zhu Tian and snorted coldly. You clearly already have Brett, and there's still another one called what's his name, and yet, you are still forcibly occupying Dongfang Yu. You are such a greedy man, and yet, Dongfang Yu actually likes you. Why does no one like my pig liver, in this age where people look at their faces? After the pig liver macaque left, Zhu Tian lightly held on to Dongfang Yu's delicate hand, walked to his seat, and wait for the guardian. Furthermore, it was the finale. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then looked at the black hole silently. Right now, Renyao still didn't know what was going on, but a familiar aura entered into her brain, causing her eyes to reveal a look of surprise. This aura, could it be? A man who was wearing a black gown slowly walked out of the black hole, and a powerful pressure was emitted from his body, seemingly as if he was trying to show off his power. There was no fear in his eyes, and he seemed very ordinary. Even when facing Yihua and the others who were using cheats, there wasn't a single bit of apprehension in the slightest. Towards the guardian that suddenly appeared, the entire team was very surprised. This guardian is different from Renyao. Yihua even felt that this guardian is a bit more different from that Su Diao and that execution ground. Furthermore, it isn't just a bit more different. Big brother, this is that guardian. Yi Juetian said in a low voice. This guardian, do you think that he is kind or malicious? Yihua asked faintly. Yi Juetian wrinkled his brows. Thinking about how he and the others had been saved by the guardian before, he said, I think that he should be kind. Little Tian, you can't judge a person by their appearance. Perhaps, he was trapped in that place, and he used the same method that he used to save you all to come out from that place. Yihua said boldly. Yi Juetian's expression sunk, that shouldn't be the case, right? In this world, there is nothing that is absolute, and all kinds of accidents exist. Chapter 13:20. Just as the two brothers were chatting, the guardian looked towards Renyao, and Renyao also looked towards the guardian. The two of them seemed to have some sort of connection. Renyao looked as if he had lost his soul as he slowly walked towards the guardian. This scene caused everyone to go into a daze. Soon after, they adjusted their state of mind and prepared to face the unexpected situation. "Ren Yao, what are you doing?" Yi Zizi suddenly shouted out. However, Ren Yao still walked towards the guardian woodenly. Yi Zizi felt that Ren Yao was her little brother, so how could she allow anything to happen to Ren Yao? Her petite body immediately rushed over, seemingly wanting to stop Ren Yao's strange actions. However, a black figure suddenly appeared behind Ren Yao, blocking in front of Yi Zizi. Yi Zizi was not a kind person, and she immediately swung her fist towards the guardian. "I'm not bragging, but if this fist were to hit the guardian would definitely lose his life." After all, everyone present at the scene had to admit that Yi Zizi's fist was rather hard. Even the guardian wouldn't be able to withstand it. But bang! A muffled sound suddenly rang out, and a berserk gale spread out with the two of them as the center. Looking at this situation, everyone was astonished, even Yi Zizi revealed an expression of disbelief. Because the guardian in front of her actually used his palm to receive the fist. Just like rock paper scissors, the paper won. "Your strength is not small." The guardian looked at Yi Zizi and said faintly. Although Yi Zizi was very shocked, that fist just now was just a normal attack. "If you have the ability, receive my second fist, the second fist that will take your life." "Zizi, come back," Yi Hua said faintly. "Looking at the current situation, it seems like I can stop some bad things. But so what? Some things need to be settled, and not stopped. Only by settling things can I feel at ease." Yi Zizi turned her head around and looked at Yi Hua with a puzzled look in her eyes. "Why, come back?" Yi Hua shouted out again. "This is clearly an order, and I'm not joking around with you, Yi Zizi." Yi Zizi looked at the guardian in front of her, and with a heavy breath, she snorted coldly and returned to the group. The guardian silently took a look at Yi Hua, then placed his hand on Ren Yao's shoulder. A beautiful radiance suddenly spread out, and Yi Hua could feel that this was a very strong power. What was this guardian doing? What he wanted to do was to make Ren Yao perfect. After all, Ren Yao was an imperfect guardian. If her strength was halved, nothing would taste good. But now, to Ren Yao, the half of the power that had disappeared was continuously flowing into her body. It felt like she had become a human, not a half-human half-ghost. Everyone was also very surprised. Was imparting power like this? This guardian was a little too amazing. Just how strong must it be to be able to transmit so much energy in one go? Yi Hua waited silently and did not say anything. As for Yi Hua's subordinates, as long as Yi Hua gave the order, they would be able to press these two guardians onto the ground and rub them against each other. However, Yi Hua didn't say anything all this while, and this caused the subordinates to not dare to act rashly. Could it be that he was just going to watch? That was obviously the case. After about 10 minutes, the brilliance gradually dimmed. Yi Hua slightly narrowed his eyes. "I want to see what exactly this person is trying to do. If he could do it now, that would be for the best. He would be able to settle it immediately and prevent any future troubles." Right now, Ren Yao seemed to have become much more clear-headed. Looking at her hands, countless power seemed to be surging out from her body. This feeling seems to be able to be lawless. If Yi Zizi were to throw another punch at me, I definitely have the confidence to receive it. As a guardian, to actually lose half of your strength, this is truly a shame. The guardian said faintly. This sentence was clearly meant to lecture Ren Yao. "What are you doing?" Ren Yao didn't seem to dare to refute, not knowing why, she didn't dare to refute, as if the man in front of her was her boss, and she had to listen to him, if not, the consequences would be very serious. At this moment, Yi Hua asked faintly, "Guardian, what are you trying to do?" The guardian's gaze shifted towards Yi Hua, and without a trace of fear, he said faintly, "I am merely looking for my companions." "And then?" "What and then?" the guardian asked. And then what do you plan to do? And then? I haven't thought about it clearly yet, but perhaps I will think of it after I have found all of my companions. The guardian raised his head and looked at the sky, appearing to be at a loss. Hearing that, Yihua remained silent for a while, then said faintly, "Go and look for them then." "Naturally," the guardian said lightly. "Could it be that I still have to stay and eat with them?" Towards this guardian, Yi Juetian and the others had lived together for 12 years. If one were to say that they didn't have any feelings for the guardian, that would be impossible. However, the guardian seemed to know what those people wanted to say, and he said, "I only saved you all for the sake of coming out. There are only benefits between us, there are no other factors. Therefore, there is no need to say anything." Following the guardian's words, everyone who had just returned became speechless. Is it really only because of benefits? Back then, when you saved us, you didn't know that there was a guardian here, so at that time, what was the reason for you to save us? Could it be that you didn't do it out of kindness? However, facing the cold-hearted guardian, everyone didn't seem to have any plans to say anything. I feel a bit disappointed in my heart, and also a bit stifled. Wasn't Renyao the same as well? I have lived here with everyone for 12 years, and right now, I am going to leave just like that. I am truly a bit reluctant to part with this place. However, there are some things that I really have no choice about. If I am allowed to choose, perhaps, living here forever is also a pretty good choice. However, Renyao knew that perhaps, in my next life, I might be able to fulfill my wish, but in this life, I might not be able to. Goodbye, this adorable imperial palace, farewell forever, my friends. The guardian and Renyao disappeared from where they were just like that, and no one knew where they went. However, Yihua knew that the next time they meet, it would be a situation where they would have to fight to the death. Today, there would be a reunion, and there would also be a separation. However, the joy of the former was more than the sorrow of the latter. I will think about the future matters in the future. Right now, I have to properly celebrate the children's return, celebrate the return of all of my subordinates. Alright, let's go and eat. We will settle this matter after we eat. Yihua said faintly, then turned around and left by himself. The children discovered that the current father, when did he become a loner? He seems to be a bit unsociable. Why didn't mother say anything at all? Look at how much pressure father is under right now. Mother shouldn't be acting like this, she should be empathizing with father. Chapter 13:21. Sigh. The children hurriedly caught up to Yihua and used their own methods to communicate with their father. Daddy, how about we let Yen handle this matter? Daddy, I can help you as well. Dong Huangli said seriously at the side. I am no longer a child now, and I can take charge of things by myself. God Yi and Yilu also expressed that they can help their father as well. This way, their father won't have to work so hard. Yihua could feel the children's concern, and his heart felt warm. This is much better than your mother. Children, Daddy naturally knows what you all are thinking in your hearts. However, the opponent this time is not someone that you all can handle. Therefore, let Daddy do it. However, this will be the last time Daddy will help you all. In the future, you all will have to settle things by yourselves, understand? Hearing what their father said, why do the children feel that their father is planning to retire? Indeed, Yihua indeed wants to retire. Sometimes, when I feel tired, I really want to have a good rest. I don't have to think about those troublesome matters, and I don't have to think about what will happen in the future. Right now, the children already have the ability to take responsibility. I can be more at ease. Because the children and subordinates are returning, Yihua planned to hold a big celebration, and the scale was just like having a reunion dinner. Blood Demon was also happy to do so. After all, little sovereign has returned. It should be. Right now, there was even a specialized banquet hall in the palace for groups to celebrate during festivals. There was a KTV, and the gorgeous disco lighting made the place look extremely retro. Right now, a unique rhythm sounded out from the speakers, and it seemed very cheerful. The subordinates were dancing on the dance floor, and everyone's face was filled with joy. Suddenly, the music changed, and it became a bit romantic. Needless to say, pairs of couples were hugging each other and lightly swaying, expressing their love for each other. Even God Yu was among them, hugging the shy Luciener. If they put in more effort, 10 months later, they might really be able to give birth to a grandson for Dong Huang Baiji. Yihua would also have a third generation. What an exciting thing. Using Yihua's words, the flame of the Supreme Overlord will never extinguish. Right now, Yi Juetian was hugging Gong Yu and lightly swaying. Although he didn't know how to dance, he was still able to sway along with the music. Right now, the most important thing was to experience that romantic atmosphere. There were also cameras recording the good times. However, Yihua didn't go over to make love with his wife. Instead, he sat by himself at the side, drank a little wine, smoked a little cigarette, and seemed to be very happy. Qingye and the others were sitting not far away from Yihua, and they were currently chatting with each other in low voices. However, none of them went to coax Yihua. This wasn't the first time such a situation had happened. It had been like this for the past few years. The subordinates were all worried that his honor and his honor's wife would break up with each other. Dong Huangli couldn't stand watching anymore. Daddy looks so pitiful. Why is mommy like this? Wasn't your relationship very good in the past? Even if you quarreled, you would make up in a very short period of time. But now, this is simply the prelude to a divorce. Dong Huangli didn't want to see her father and mother getting divorced. Therefore, she hurriedly arrived in front of Dong Huang Baiji and said solemnly, "Mom, I have something to tell you." Seeing that her daughter had come over, Dong Huang Baiji immediately revealed out a happy smile. "Ollie, what's the matter? Is it because there's a boy you like, but you're too shy to say it?" "Mom, please be a bit serious, I'm very serious," Dong Huangli said solemnly. This matter was related to the harmony of the family. Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze, then nodded her head. "All right, Mom will be serious." "Ollie, you go ahead and tell me." "Mom, are you planning to leave Dad?" Dong Huangli asked straightforwardly. This caused Qingye and the others who were beside her to go into a daze. Dong Huang Baiji slowly returned back to normal, then rubbed onto her daughter's forehead. "Silly child, what are you talking about? How can Mom possibly leave Dad? Then, aren't you paving the way for Dad to leave you right now?" Dong Huangli said gravely. Dong Huangli felt that every couple would ignore each other because they were in a cold war. After a long time, their feelings would fade, and by then, they would have nothing left. No matter how strong their love was, it wouldn't be able to withstand this kind of consumption. Just like right now, Mom feels that it's fine, but Dad feels tired. If Dad gets tired that day and doesn't want you anymore, you will know that you were wrong. "Mom, I don't," Dong Huang Baiji said subconsciously. Dong Huangli pointed at the dance floor, then pointed at Dad. "Mom, look, you don't." The more Dong Huangli spoke, the angrier Dong Huangli became. "As the boss, there are a lot of things that I have to deal with tomorrow, and I have to make plans for the future. Mom, it's fine if you don't want to help Dad, but you even chose to watch Dad when he was lonely. Ollie is truly disappointed in me." Looking at Ollie, who left in a fit of pique, Dong Huang Baiji didn't expect that right after her daughter came back, she would immediately start lecturing me, and furthermore, it was all for her father, Yihua. Back then, it was your heartless father who abandoned you all in the distant south, and even told us not to go and visit you all. Not only did you not blame Dad, you even blamed Mom for neglecting Dad. As expected, Mom is always here to deliver express delivery. Dong Huang Baiji took a look at Yihua. Chapter 1322. His honor knows how to awkwardly dance. That doesn't exist. Therefore, I want to see his honor's embarrassing state. After all, it isn't that easy to see his honor's embarrassing state, and the opportunity to see his honor's embarrassing state was hard to come by. Upon hearing Lai Gu's suggestion, everyone immediately became alert. Your honor, awkward dance, your honor, awkward dance. Yihua laughed lightly. Since the two of you have chosen to dance awkwardly, come on then. I, the Supreme Overlord, will naturally not spoil the fun. Of course, Yihua wouldn't reject his subordinates. In any case, they were all family, there was nothing to be shy about. However, awkward dance, this is still something new. I don't think I have ever done it before, sigh, these are all tricks that youngsters play. I, the Supreme Overlord, am already old, and I can't really play around with them anymore. Daddy, you can do it. Yi Yan shouted, cheering for me. As expected of Yihua's good son. Yihua laughed helplessly, come on, don't be embarrassed. They were going to die of embarrassment anyway. All of Yihua's subordinates moved away from the dance floor, and only Yihua and Lai Gu remained on the dance floor. There was no way that Yihua would go easy on his honor, this kind of opportunity was very hard to come by. After this period of time, I won't be able to tease his honor anymore. Pig's liver, let's see if you can explode. Everyone, needless to say, the pig liver centipede really knew how to speak. It immediately started to show its tone, but the people around it immediately dispersed. This idiot didn't even cover his mouth. The saliva in his mouth was flying everywhere. Eat, eat, eat. Yihua and Lai Gu looked towards the pig liver macaque. Do you only know how to eat, eat, eat? The pig liver that already had, no longer has anything left to live for, was only thinking about having a body that was similar to Ching Su's. This way, he would be able to fill up the pain in his heart. Who would be able to understand this kind of pain? Sigh. Forget it, you guys are embarrassed. Yihua took the opportunity to find an excuse and hurriedly slipped away. Just now, I had agreed to it on a whim. Now that I think about it, it really is a bit embarrassing. Lai Gu suddenly suggested, Your Honor, why don't you dance with your wife and let subordinates broaden their horizons? This Lai Gu is really touching my sore spot. Doesn't he know that his honor and your wife are having a conflict right now? However, Lai Gu also wanted to use this kind of method to make his honor and his honor's wife reconcile with each other. Boss's family is blissful, and his mood would naturally be good. As expected, when Lai Gu's words came out, everyone looked towards your wife. Because, his honor is definitely willing to do it, but the problem is, Madam is definitely not willing to do it. Chapter 13:23. What should we do? Yi Juetian rubbed his forehead. In the past, it was his feelings that had a problem, but now, it was actually his big brother that had a problem. It seemed that no matter who it was, they would be stumped when it came to love. Gong Yu raised her head slightly and looked at her husband. She was pondering whether she should tell her husband about Yi. She wanted to tell her husband because, after all, her husband had the right to know. However, her rationality told her that she couldn't tell her husband because the current situation was very good. If she told him, the current feeling would disappear again. Do Fusher, go and sing a song to liven things up, Absolute Heaven said softly. At this moment, they needed to liven things up. They could not continue being so dull. Floating World Do was naturally amusing. Otherwise, why would he be the one to look for trouble? Go and sing. Li Han, who was at the side, poked her husband. Hurry up and display your comical side, make his honor and his honor's wife laugh. Do Fusher hurriedly walked out, he knew that it was time for him to display his strength. Everyone, singing can wait. I, Do Fusher, would like to answer a riddle. Riddles. They had never played this before, and it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Hurry up and say it. Don't waste my time. Do Fusher nodded with a smile and asked, what is it that grows fur and peels off a layer of skin as it grows? Everyone was stunned. As males, they seemed to have thought of something. As a female, she glared fiercely at Do Fusher. This was simply driving at the slightest disagreement. Li Hun was having a headache. I told you to tease His Honor and His Honor's wife to be happy, and yet, you actually said something like this. Do you want to die? Do Fusher hurriedly said, look at your expressions, all of you are thinking in a crooked way. It's corn, your brains are filled with unhealthy things. Everyone was speechless. Thinking about the growth of corn, it seemed to be true. Pfft. Laughter suddenly rang out in the audience. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and to their surprise, they discovered that the one who laughed out loud was actually Little Sovereign's girlfriend, Lucienne. When Lucienne saw that everyone was staring at her, her pretty face immediately felt as if it was on fire. I am no longer pure, what am I thinking about? Gaudier asked calmly, Sienne, what are you thinking about? I didn't think of anything. Then why were you laughing just now? Please don't say anything. Lucienne hid behind Gaudier. Just what kind of place is this? Okay, this is a grown-up place. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. This Do Fusher is not bad, as expected of me, the Supreme Overlord, to take him in back then. When Do Fusher saw that His Honor actually smiled, he decided that he had to put in more effort. At this moment, Lai Gu was unconvinced. Do Fusher, if you have the ability, come up with another question. I will definitely be able to answer you. As Lai Gu said that, he secretly opened Baidu. However, Yu Hua directly took over Lai Gu's phone. Alright, answer a question for me to see. Yu Hua, just whose side are you on? Lai Gu said helplessly. Are we still husband and wife? Is there anyone who plays like this? Do Fusher said in a serious tone, the next one is scary. You'll get sick if something gets in, so you have to clean it. Everyone, needless to say, his subordinates were actually discussing it. This was definitely a serious riddle, but they didn't know what it was. Big brother, do you know what it is? Do Fusher was very arrogant now, he actually shouted towards Lai Gu. Lai Gu pursed his lips, if you have the ability, then tell me the answer, don't talk nonsense. At this moment, Gaudier hugged onto Lucienne and asked curiously, Sienne, do you know what it is? I don't know. Lucienne hurriedly said. You really don't know? Do you already have the answer in your head? Gaudier, if you continue to be so bad, I won't like you anymore. Ha! Gaudier suddenly realized that teasing girls is actually very interesting. Do Fusher said helplessly, you don't even know about this. His Honor said to use our brains. It's contact lenses. Hearing such an answer, the corner of everyone's mouth twitched slightly. That's enough, this is even possible. However, just as Do Fusher was preparing to continue, Blood Demon who was wearing a white gown walked out and said respectfully, Your Honor, the food is ready. Yi Hua nodded his head, all right, let's go and eat first, we won't go back until we are drunk. Everyone, obediently drink your wine. Yes. Your Honor. Everyone shouted out in unison. This was also the rule of the gathering. When drinking, one must not use one's strength. Because, only when one was drunk would the atmosphere be perfect. If one didn't get drunk, then what was the point of drinking? Lucienne was a bit confused. Why must one get drunk? Gaudier felt that this was an opportunity that his father created for him. If a girl doesn't get drunk, how can a boy have a chance? Furthermore, in order to achieve the goal of getting drunk, Yi Hua specially instructed them to make a special type of wine. After all, the bodies of his subordinates were all very strong, and ordinary wine wasn't a problem for them. Seeing that all of his subordinates were present, Yihua felt a bit more comfortable in his heart. Although his wives were sitting beside him, the feeling was still the same, cold and indifferent. I might as well look at my subordinates and be happy. Yihua's table consisted of his wives and children, and they belonged to his family. 7 Deadly Sins table naturally had other subordinates as well. Yihua poured a cup of wine for himself. Chapter 13:24. Next up was the drinking competition. This was also a tradition. As long as it was a festival like this, everyone would basically fall. If they didn't fall, it meant that the atmosphere was not up to the standard. And today, it was even more lively. After all, a lot of people had returned, and all of their emotions were contained in the alcohol. In the past, they would only drink to Yihua, but now that Yi Yan and God Yi had returned, they naturally had to drink to them as well. The 2 sons even had to help their father block the alcohol, and the most awesome one was Ali. She could drink a lot. Yi Lu was a bit lacking. After blocking a few cups of alcohol for her father, she felt a bit dizzy. No matter what, Lu Sienna was God Ye's girlfriend, and in the future, she would be Little Honor's wife. Perhaps because they weren't familiar with each other, they didn't joke around too much, but Lu Sienna still felt a bit dizzy. Seems like God Ye has a chance today. Your Honor, do you want to have a drink with your wife? Lai Gu started talking nonsense under the influence of alcohol. The faces of Qingye and the others were all red, but they weren't drunk yet. On the other hand, Yihua was a bit tipsy. After all, he drank quite a bit of alcohol just now, and his head was a bit dizzy. That's right, Your Honor should have a drink with your wife. Even Wei Chang, who didn't speak often, shouted out. Tang Wei, who was at the side, was also tipsy and fell onto Wei Chang's body. Seems like Wei Chang has a chance tonight too. Not only Wei Chang, Zi Shan had also fallen onto Yi Hong's embrace, Gong Yu had also fallen onto Yi Ju Tian's embrace, and Dong Fang Yu had also fallen onto Yi Ju Tian's embrace. I really want to take Yihua's place and ask for poison from Qing Su to poison Ju Tian to death. No. I want to sterilize that damned cat Ju Tian. In any case, almost all of the ladies had fallen onto their loved ones. As for what would happen tonight, of course, it would be to express their love. Probably only Yihua, the boss, didn't have a beauty in his embrace anymore. That was why Lai Gu couldn't help but shout out. Mom, go. Dong Huangli was cheering for her mom. Dad is the boss, so he should at least have some face. Only sensible women will be liked by men. Mom is a bit immature. Hearing her daughter's words, Dong Huang Baiji didn't have any reaction. Just because Dong Huang Baiji and the others drank a bit of wine didn't mean that Dong Huang Baiji and the others would be obedient. On the contrary, when they heard that their daughters were supporting Yihua, they felt very depressed in their hearts. Qingye was also the same. Qin Yutang and Qian Yuqing seemed to be planning to give face to Yihua. After all, there were already 2 people who were disobedient, and if the remaining 2 people were to be disobedient as well, then it would definitely not do. However, when Yihua saw that the women were hesitating, he couldn't help but feel vexed in his heart. Thus, he said coldly, "Cross cups of wine, there won't be any cross cups of wine in this lifetime. Let's drink." When Yihua said this, the 4 women were immediately stupefied. In actuality, after so many years, at least 50% of the vexation that Qingye and the others felt was due to a formality, and that was marriage. How many years had they been together? It had been around 20 years. Back then, they had agreed that they were going to get married, but every time when they asked about it, Yihua would always be indifferent, as if he didn't want to get married. As time passed, Qingye and the others started to get annoyed, and thus, they used another kind of method to protest against Yihua. After hearing Yihua's words just now, Yihua said that he wouldn't get married in this lifetime. So be it. Humph. The 4 women snorted at the same time, stood up and left. They didn't say anything at all. This is completely not giving any face to Yihua at all. All of Yihua's subordinates were stupefied. In the past, no matter how angry Yihua's wife was, she would still accompany his honor to the end and help his honor to leave, but now, Mom. Dong Huangli and Yi Yan shouted out at the same time. Tell them to scram. Just looking at them makes me vexed. Yihua shouted out coldly, then raised his head and shouted. The atmosphere immediately became heavy, and all of Yihua's subordinates sobered up a little. Right now, Gong Yu finally understood. Big brother is already so strict with his wife, let alone other people. Sigh, it's just that big brother's temper. Yihua's temper had become much better during these few years. Just now, it was Qingye and the others who angered Yihua. To be more precise, it was because Qingye and the others angered Yihua and the others continuously today that Yihua was unable to suppress the anger in his heart anymore. F***K, I didn't bicker with you all, and yet you all started to become arrogant. The atmosphere of the banquet changed in an instant. Dad, don't drink too much. Dong Huangli pressed onto her father's cup, and her gaze was filled with heartache. Yihua looked at his own Ali. If your mother was half as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much. Yihua took a deep breath, then slowly placed down the cup and said faintly, the people from 7 deadly sins, stay behind. As for the others, go back and rest. It's getting late. All of Yihua's subordinates didn't dare to say anything else. They could only shout out respectfully, yes. Your Honor. Ali, you too should go back and rest as well. Yihua said towards the children. Yi Yan and God, you were both drunk. Alright, Dad, drink less, don't work too hard. Ali's heart aches just by looking at you. With a doting expression on his face, Yihua lightly caressed Ali's hair, then nodded his head. Dong Huangli carried on to her little brother God Yi. This fellow is already drunk and fainted. This idiot, if you are drunk and fainted, are you going to let Xian play by herself? Yi Lu supported onto her big brother Yi Yan, who was also drunk and fainted. Back then, before Yi Lu returned, he said that he was going to drink father's subordinates until they fainted, but in the end, he fainted before the battle even started. Soon, only Yihua and his subordinates were left in the banquet. Everyone, sit over here. Yihua said lightly. Yihua appeared to be a bit powerless. He picked up the wine cup in his hand and wanted to drink a mouthful of wine. However, when he recalled what Ali had entrusted to him, he slowly placed the wine cup down. The 7 subordinates obediently sat down. Your Honor, your wife might be drunk, don't take it to heart. Wei Chang said in a low voice. If someone were to say that His Honor didn't like it, Wei Chang wouldn't believe it. Perhaps, His Honor just didn't like it after a long time. Let's not talk about this matter anymore, I know what I am doing. Yes. Wei Chang was terrified. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette, paused for a moment, then passed it to everyone. Other than Yi Zizi and Brett who didn't smoke, all of the other men started smoking. Zhu Tian expressed, this is His Honor's order, I have no choice but to smoke. Meanwhile, Brett didn't pay attention to Zhu Tian. You just want to smoke, right? As long as you don't smoke in front of me, it will be fine. Yihua silently spat out a lump of cyan-colored smoke, and the smoke gradually dissipated in the air. It's a bit like a fleeting cloud. At the very least, the subordinates were filling in the blanks. You all have also seen what happened to Rinyao today. Yihua said faintly. Speaking of this matter, Yi Zizi became a bit angry, Your Honor, why didn't you allow me to kill that fellow back then? I had to get rid of the root. Yihua said faintly. All of Yihua's subordinates nodded their heads. If we don't get rid of the root, this matter will be like a fishbone stuck in everyone's heart. Chapter 1325. After all, Yi Hua was the strongest person that Yi Hua had ever met. From today's situation, the guardian that has been silent for more than 10 years seems to be making a move. Therefore, I hope that everyone will be vigilant and get rid of this factor. Do you understand? Yes. Your Honor. But what I said just now is not the main point. Yi Hua flicked the cigarette ash and said lightly. All of Yi Hua's subordinates went into a daze for a moment. This is not the main point. Could it be that there is something else? I have decided, after this matter is settled, I will retire. Yi Hua's tone was a bit surprised. Following Yi Hua's words, all of Yi Hua's subordinates were astonished. Retire? Perhaps people need to retire, but Your Honor has a boundless lifespan. Why do you need to retire? Furthermore, what does this sentence mean? Could it be that the group is disbanded? Zhu Tian was a bit in disbelief as he muttered, Your Honor, this news came too quickly, causing all of Yi Hua's subordinates to be unable to accept it. After all, we have been together for so many years, how can the group be disbanded? That's right, out of the 4 children, who do you all think is the most outstanding? Yi Hua asked curiously. All of Yi Hua's subordinates did not speak, their expressions were rather grave. Could it be that I am drunk? Am I dreaming? Or could it be that His Honor is drunk? For His Honor to actually ask such a question, it is very obvious that he is planning to retire. Your Honor, you are still young, why are you thinking about this? Qing Su asked confusedly. Although His Honor has been acting strangely these few years, I didn't expect that His Honor would be acting strangely to such an extent. Just what is going on with His Honor? Yi Hua said faintly, make a plan early, then you don't have to think about it in the future. Lai Gu felt that His Honor seemed to be making arrangements for his death. However, although Lai Gu was thinking like this, he didn't dare to say it out. After all, this wasn't something auspicious. Tell me, what do you all think? Yi Hua continued to ask. Wei Chang took a deep breath, then wrinkled his brows. Your Honor, if we are to choose people, subordinate feels that Dong Huangli and Yi Yan are both not bad. God Yi and Yi Lu are more obsessed with fighting, they are not suitable to be leaders, they are more suitable to be heroes. Hearing that, Yi Hua silently nodded his head. What Wei Chang is thinking is the same as what I am thinking. Do you all think so as well? Yi Hua asked faintly. All of Dong Huangli's subordinates nodded their heads. From the battle between Dong Huangli and Yi Yan, all of Dong Huangli's subordinates were able to discern something. Adding on to Dong Huangli's performance after the battle, all of Dong Huangli's subordinates were inclined towards Dong Huangli. However, here comes the problem, Dong Huangli is Dong Huangbaiji's daughter. What His Honor is thinking about is the big picture, and what His Honor is thinking about is that His Honor's wife doesn't understand, and that's why she is complaining. This is also normal, in His Honor's wife's eyes, His Honor is everything. However, in His Honor's eyes, there are too many things that he has to take care of, and the pressure on him is very big. Lai Gu said with a dignified tone, but don't you all feel that His Honor's tone today is a bit off? Tone. That's right, it's a bit like His Honor is leaving behind his will. Lai Gu muttered, and immediately, he sensed 6 death stares. It's one thing for you to ridicule His Honor, but to actually curse His Honor to die, do you even have a bottom line? Lai Gu immediately apologized. However, after being reminded by Lai Gu, I seem to have such a feeling. While carrying this strange feeling, Lai Gu's subordinates left the banquet hall and returned to their respective homes. However, Yi Hua didn't go back to his mother's bedroom, as he didn't want to go back and quarrel with Qing Ye and the others. Gradually, Yi Hua walked over to his mother's bedroom. Master. When Daji, who was standing at the entrance, saw that her master had arrived, she felt happy in her heart. Yi Hua looked towards Daji. For so many years, Daji has been cautiously and conscientiously protecting my mother. Yihua walked in front of Daji, then patted onto Daji's shoulder. You haven't gone to rest yet. Master's mother hasn't gone to rest yet. Daji can't go and rest yet. Daji said respectfully. Feeling the warmth coming from Yihua's shoulder, Daji felt very happy in her heart. As long as Master comes over to take a look at me from time to time, I will be satisfied. It has been tough on you. Yihua let out a light sigh, then pushed open the door and entered into the bedroom. Daji, who was outside, lightly closed the door, then immediately became vigilant as she observed her surroundings. Even though she knew that no one would come to assassinate her, she still appeared to be very serious. Chapter 1326. Walking into the house, Yihua saw that his mother was sitting on the couch and was currently knitting a sweater. The children are already so big. They can't even fit into the sweaters they used to knit, Lu Jing said softly with a smile on her face. She appeared very gentle. Yihua slowly sat down beside his mother and picked up a sweater. All of these sweaters were prepared by his mother many years ago, just that, he didn't have the chance to send them over. Yihua, the children are already so big, how can there be any overnight hatred between a husband and wife? It isn't easy for Qingye and the others, they are already going crazy thinking about their children. You have to be considerate of them. There's also Yutong and Yuqing. They want children, but they don't. As a mother, I can understand their feelings. All in all, only when your family is happy can you do other things with peace of mind. I can't help you too much, so don't think that I'm too long-winded. Yihua said respectfully, Mother, I don't dislike you for being long-winded, it's just that, my feelings for you have already faded, and I really don't know how to deal with it. Lu Jing put down the sweater, then lightly held onto her son's big hand and said attentively, Yihua, this isn't that your feelings have faded, this is that love has turned into a kind of familial love. Look at people like us, our lifespan is extremely long, you and Qingye and the others have just started, in the next 1,000 years, in the next 10,000 years, you have to grasp it well. After hearing that, Yihua let out a deep breath. That's right, in terms of lifespan, this is just the beginning. He felt that his feelings for her had faded a lot now. What would happen in another 20 years? Another 200 years? 2,000 years, or even 20,000 years? Could he still maintain that feeling? Right now, even Yihua was starting to suspect, was the whole thing because of him, or were they the ones behind it? Alright, Yihua, quickly go back and rest. You drank a lot of wine again, Mother is going to sleep soon too. Yihua nodded his head, then stood up and said respectfully, Mother, I won't disturb your rest anymore. Go. Communicate well. Husband and wife need to communicate. Yes. Lu Jing sighed as she watched her son leave. She couldn't help much. After walking out of his mother's bedroom, Yihua looked at Daji, who was standing guard at the side, and said lightly, Daji, go and rest. Yes, Master. Rest early too. Yihua silently nodded his head, then walked out of the bedroom. Daji looked at her master's back and realized that her master's back was becoming more and more lonely. It was not easy for her to lose weight. I heard that tonight's banquet ended on bad terms again. How could Madam treat the host like that? Daji couldn't understand. Yihua still didn't return to his bedroom, and he was currently thinking about where he should go. Even if my 13th sister starves to death or gets hacked to death, she still won't eat it. 5 minutes later. Boss, your barbecued fish is getting more and more fragrant. The 13th sister shouted out. Because she drank a little bit of wine, her white cheeks were a little red, making her look very cute. Yihua, who knew the reason, didn't blame her. It wasn't easy for the other races. Although they seemed to have assimilated into the other races, they had yet to truly assimilate into the other races. Perhaps, they would be able to assimilate into the other races after hundreds or thousands of years. Yihua drank a little bit of wine and looked at the bustling streets. His mood became much better. Suddenly, he discovered that the outside of the palace indeed had a different taste. Therefore, Yihua decided not to return back to the palace. I will stay in a hotel today. I heard that there is a viewing room. Only after arriving at the viewing room did Yihua find out that the scenery he was looking at was actually the palace. Inside the bedroom, the four women didn't sleep. They were sitting in the main hall, waiting for Yihua to return. They were prepared to have a good chat about who was right and who was wrong in this matter. Why isn't he back yet? Qingye said in a low voice. I am simply about to explode from anger today. To actually tell us to scram again, how can I not be angry? Qian Yuqing's attitude was still considered to be good. After all, Qian Yuqing had lost someone before and knew that kind of pain. To her, it was fine as long as it was appropriate. In actuality, Qing Yutong was the same as well, she was just grumbling. If daddy meets a beautiful girl outside, or a sensible girl, then you guys are done for. Mom, you haven't slept yet. Are you waiting for someone? Is father in? Although Dong Wangli guessed that her father wasn't in, she still wanted to ask. Dong Huang Baiji remained silent. Dong Huang Baiji squeezed out a smile and said, "Ali, quickly go and sleep, we are discussing some matters here." Do you want to talk about a divorce? Dong Huangli asked lightly. Her tone was completely filled with indignation for her father. Sure enough, Dong Huangli's words caused those women to go into a daze. Dong Huang Baiji even said gravely, Ali. What are you talking about? Although I am also very happy that my daughter and son have returned, but right now, my daughter is completely on Yihua's side. Why don't you all think about how much mom has missed you all these years? Half of the reason why I ended up quarreling with your father is because of you all. Do you all think mom wants to be like this? Who doesn't want to be happy with their family? The atmosphere immediately became tense. The children are too much on Yihua's side, and right now, they actually dare to go against me. This is too outrageous. Isn't what I said right? When you all were young, although you all quarreled with each other, in the end, Dad still lowered his head and coaxed you all. You all only know how to let Dad coax you all. If Dad coaxes you all too much, don't tell me that Dad will be happy. Why don't you all coax Dad? Love isn't something that belongs to just one party, it needs to be controlled by both parties. The thing that I hate the most is quarreling with each other because of some trivial matters. Dong Huangli was no longer the same as when she was young. If it was when she was young, she definitely wouldn't say such a thing, she wouldn't dare to say such a thing. But now that she has grown up, I know that there are some things that I have to say, and I have to say them out loud. Furthermore, I have to let mom know that if Dad leaves you all, he won't die. Dong Huang Baiji was angered to the point that her entire body was trembling. Pointing at her daughter, Dong Huang Baiji shouted out, "Get out! Adults are talking, what is a child like you interrupting? This is none of your business." "Mom, I am no longer a child now," Dong Huangli said faintly, then turned around and left. Dong Huangli looked very cool. If Yi Yan was here, he would definitely give big sister a big thumbs up. Awesome! To actually dare to use this kind of tone to talk to mom, this is too awesome. Looking at her daughter leaving just like that, Dong Huang Baiji, who was angered to the extreme actually started crying out loud. She felt as if everyone no longer liked her, and that kind of feeling was extremely wronged. Qingye supported onto the empress who was beside her. This woman is just like this. I thought that today would be a happy day, after all, the children had returned. But in the end, I found out that this happiness is actually filled with pain. Look at Ali's current appearance, she doesn't even look like she was when she was young, I really wonder if she is Ali or not. Dong Huang Baiji said while choking with sobs. She was still tightly hugging onto Chinya while crying in snot. This truly makes one's heart ache. Qin Yutong let out a light sigh. When a child grows up, they are just like this. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong started thinking whether or not she should still give birth to a child. If my child reaches Li's age and also goes against me, that kind of feeling is simply unimaginable. I wonder how the Empress is feeling right now. Sigh. When a child grows up, he would become a bit rebellious. This is also normal. Qinya consoled Dong Huang Baiji attentively. How big of a matter is this? Besides, what Ali said is somewhat reasonable. However, even if everyone understands the reason, it would be very difficult to do it. But look at Ali's appearance just now, it seems like she was teaching me a lesson. Dong Huang Baiji was depressed and sad. I didn't even have the chance to properly chat with my daughter, and I was already taught a lesson by my daughter. Qin Yutong said faintly, if Yen wasn't drunk, I reckon that what happened just now would also be the same. Big sister, you have to be mentally prepared. Qinya took a glare at her little sister. Only you know that I, Yen, wouldn't teach my mother like this. I reckon that Yihua won't be coming back tonight. Xian Yuqing, who was sitting at the side, muttered. She felt that she had indeed done something wrong. I shouldn't have gone along with Yihua's evil deeds. I wonder if it is still too late for me to betray Yihua now. Chapter 1329. The two sisters still chose to continue waiting, even if they had to wait until dawn. I want to let Yihua see how long we have waited for you. Do you still have the cheek to throw a tantrum? However, Yihua was currently standing at the window of the room and looking at the palace. He thought to himself, those women should be asleep already. Why would they care if I return or not? Yihua let out a light sigh, then closed the wooden window and lied on the bed. The unfamiliar environment gave Yihua a different feeling. Sir, do you need the inn service? A gentle voice suddenly rang out from the door, causing Yihua to be startled. There is such a service. Just who invented it? The night gradually dispersed, and white fog shrouded the entire Wushu Empire, making it look like a fairyland. A scream rang out in the palace, and it was the scream of a girl. From the tone of the voice, one could tell that the girl's scream was filled with surprise, panic, and disbelief. Under normal circumstances, to scream like this early in the morning, it must be the first time one experienced something interesting in their life. After all, there was a different kind of charm in this tender voice, or at least that was what Lai Gu judged. In God Ye's bedroom, Lu Xian looked at God Ye in disbelief. And me? What happened last night? Where am I? What am I doing? Why did God Ye sleep together with me? God Ye seemed to have been shocked by this horrifying voice as well. He realized that his head was a little painful and his mouth was a little dry. What's wrong? Why are you screaming so early in the morning? God Ye asked softly, appearing very calm. However, it was only his expression that was calm. His heart was not calm at all. He sneaked a glance at the quilt. It's over, straighten your tongue and speak. God Ye said softly. He slowly sat up and gently stroked Lu Xian's hair. The gentle action made Lu Xian a little absent-minded. Lie in my arms first and speak. God Ye hugged the confused Lu Xian in his arms, and Lu Xian's face was red. What was I going to say just now? How did I forget about it? God Ye gently caressed Lu Xian. It's still early, do you want to sleep for a while more? Lu Xian said subconsciously. After saying that, she felt that something was wrong. However, the sound of smooth breathing could already be heard from the side, and he managed to get away just like that. I'm so angry, to actually not say anything at all. In any case, I should at least say a few words. I will love you for my entire life, and I will treat you well in the future. Sigh, my God, this is really a headache. God, you was having a headache right now. Yesterday was just a joke. He really did not expect things to turn out this way. They had just confirmed their relationship yesterday, and today, their relationship had taken another step forward. This speed was too fast. Therefore, the more they thought about it, the angrier they got. Those with discerning eyes could see that resentment was currently gathering within the imperial palace, and this resentment was very resentful. He definitely has a woman outside. Qingye tightly clenched her fists. There's no need to even think about it. With Yihua's character, he is definitely like this. Towards Qingye's words, Donghuang Baizhi and the others agreed with it. Catch him. Donghuang Baizhi said coldly. The four women looked at each other. Only by catching him at the scene will that fellow admit to the truth, solid proof that Yihua cheated on me. Luckily, I held back a trick in the past. Donghuang Baizhi sneered. To prevent Yihua from fooling around outside, Donghuang Baizhi used a special method to locate Yihua's location. Having such a few beautiful wives, Yihua didn't know if he should be happy or sad. His looks are really indescribable, but his paranoia is also indescribable, to the point where he can't wait for you to walk under their eyes all day long. When Donghuang Baizhi located Yihua's location, her expression immediately sunk. What's wrong, Baizhi? Qian Yuqing asked worriedly. This bastard. He is actually inside a hotel. Ah! Everyone cried out in surprise. Instead of sleeping in the imperial palace, he actually went outside to sleep in a hotel. One could well imagine what he is doing. Chapter 1330. The faces of the four women were as ugly as it could be, even though they had been in the palace the whole time. However, they also heard that the hotel's reputation wasn't that great, just like those dead hotels in the past. Yihua didn't bother with such things, he only restricted them verbally. In actuality, he was just turning a blind eye to it. Thinking back to Yihua's decision back then, it seemed that today's decision was completely prepared for me. Such a long time ago, Yihua made such a long preparation, this is simply infuriating. This scoundrel, he actually went to a hotel. Where is my 40 meters long broadsword? Quickly give it to me. The Empress is really simple and crude right now, she even used a 40 meters long broadsword. This is a broadsword that the Empress specially prepared for Yihua, it's called beheading your head. As the name implies, beheading your head, this is simply too cruel. Baizhi, calm down, it might not be what you think. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. In actuality, Yihua wouldn't do such a thing. After all, Yihua's taste and eyesight are very high. Even Qing Yutong thought so too. How could brother-in-law do such a thing? Look at the palace, there is still a dodgy waiting to be pampered. Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi were so excited that they completely forgot about Yihua's taste, not just any kind of woman would be able to enter his eyes. This should be a situation where they don't trust each other, this is very bad. From what I see, this man just wants to go out and look for excitement, he can no longer be excited at home. Donghuang Baizhi's words are somewhat reasonable. These days are too peaceful, there isn't any excitement at all, so this is how it is. Qingye, let's go and kill him together. Donghuang Baizhi is simply going crazy, I waited at home for an entire night, and he still didn't come back, and in the end, he went to a hotel. Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi look the same, seems like the two women's attitude is indeed different, they are simply jealous to the extreme. Qing Yutong hurriedly persuaded, big sister, calm down, running to a hotel to look for brother-in-law like this is too rash, after all, he needs to know your identity. Your brother-in-law already went to a hotel to spend the night, who cares about his identity? We are just letting others see that their emperor didn't sleep in the palace and went to a hotel to look for women. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were immediately speechless, this isn't solving the problem, this is adding oil to the fire. If he ran over to cause trouble like this, it would definitely break the rhythm. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji immediately took out their weapons. From the looks of it, they didn't seem to be joking at all. Encountering this kind of problem, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were also a bit unable to stop them. He had to find a helper. He couldn't let this go on. However, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji seemed to know what Qing Yutong was going to do. Qing Yutong, if you go and inform people today, I won't have you as my little sister anymore. Qing Yutong went into a daze for a moment. This was still the first time that Qing Yutong saw her big sister getting so angry. It's not like brother-in-law is going to do something bad. Why does he look like he wants to kill someone? Menopause was also one of the reasons why she was so angry. Perhaps this was what it was like to become a woman. In any case, Yihua was getting irritated just by looking at Yihua. Every day, Yihua would be long-winded and would never stop nagging. Only when he wasn't around could he have some peace and quiet. In actuality, Yihua was outside every day, and Qingye and the others didn't want to disturb Yihua. Furthermore, when Yihua came back at night, he didn't say anything and just fell asleep right away. In the beginning, I thought that Yihua was tired, but as time passed, I felt that Yihua had changed. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing took a look at each other, not knowing what they should do now. However, at this time, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji had already disappeared. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing have to quickly go and stop Yihua. This kind of thing still spread out. Using Yihua's words, his face has been ruthlessly rubbed on the ground. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji immediately arrived at Yihua's door. However, at this time, Yihua's door was opened. A beautiful woman could be seen walking out of Yihua's room while carrying a wooden basin. Although the woman was dressed neatly, in Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji's eyes, this woman was no different from not wearing any clothes. In short, the woman who walked out of Yihua's room was definitely tidied up by Yihua. Therefore, the moment the woman walked out of the room, she saw the two women and felt that the two women looked a bit familiar. However, when the woman saw the clothes that the two women were wearing, she subconsciously kneeled down and knocked her forehead onto the floor. Her entire body was trembling. "Empress! Empress!" The woman shouted out with a panicked tone, and her entire body was trembling crazily. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji tightly clenched their fists, seemingly wanting to tear the woman in front of them into pieces. To actually do our man. This woman simply doesn't want to live anymore. What are you doing outside? Don't you feel ashamed? An ice-cold voice rang out from inside the room. Yihua naturally knew that Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji had come, and furthermore, they came with killing intent. The woman who came in just now was just a room attendant, and she came in to deliver hot water to the woman. After washing her face, she was seen by the two women right after she walked out of the room. Yihua naturally knew what the two women were thinking about. They were definitely thinking that I, the Supreme Overlord, was messing around again. I, the Supreme Overlord, just want to ask, why don't you use your butts to think? Am I, the Supreme Overlord, such a hungry man? Even if I wanted to cause trouble, my target would definitely be dodgy. These two foolish women. As expected, after hearing Yihua's words, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji became even angrier. To actually protect this woman. That's impossible. Come in. Qingye said gravely. If a relationship were to happen, this woman would definitely die. There's nothing much to say. The room attendant was also quite unlucky to have met with these two unreasonable women who were going through menopause. The room attendant merely delivered a basin of hot water to the woman, but looking at the situation, it seemed as if she was going to lose her life. However, the woman did not dare to disobey. These two women who were dressed gorgeously, they were the empresses, the most respected women in the entire Wushu Empire. To be able to see them at such a close distance today, it was unknown if it was because of luck or something else. However, as the most respected women in the entire Wushu Empire, they actually listened to the words of the person inside the room. The person inside the room seems to be a middle-aged man. Just what is going on? Could it be that the two empresses put on the emperor? The woman did not dare to continue thinking about it. If such a thing were to happen, the entire Wushu Empire would probably be shaken. The woman walked into the room. She felt as if the air was going to freeze. This feeling was not very good, and even her heartbeat had slowed down by a lot. Just what are you two trying to do? The woman heard a different voice. This doesn't seem to be the voice of that man from just now. The woman mustered up her courage and raised her head to take a look. When she saw a man who was dressed in a yellow gown and that face, she immediately lowered her head. Her body was trembling slightly. It was unknown if she was trembling because she was afraid or because she was too excited. After all, she had just seen the most powerful man in Wushu Empire. How could she not be excited? Chapter 1331. What do you want? We also want to ask you, what is going on here? Qinya questioned angrily while pointing at the woman who was kneeling on the ground. Yi Hua was a bit angry in his heart. It's enough for the two of you to be so paranoid all day long. Us being paranoid? If that's the case, why did this woman walk out from your room so early in the morning? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. Yi Hua's expression gradually became ice cold. Why are you all being so loud for? Do you all have to make it known to everyone? The woman was very confused. What was going on with the emperor and empress? Why did it feel like their relationship wasn't that good? What, you don't dare to let others know about this scandal? Are the two of you crazy enough? Yi Hua suddenly stood up, and his aura immediately emerged. A lot of people were able to sense it. This aura was emitted by the boss of Voidless Empire. The location was not inside the palace, but outside. What was going on? Kai Yun soon received the news, and he was a little dumbfounded. However, as the internal manager of Voidless Empire, Kai Yun immediately ordered his subordinates to clear out the surroundings of the hotel. After all, I'm afraid that His Honor and Madam won't have an easy ending today. The children who were sleeping soundly, as well as the subordinates, all felt Yi Hua's anger and immediately woke up. After wearing their clothes, they left the room. His Honor, you have to calm down, don't get angry. However, in the guest room, the air seemed to be cold. Yi Hua did not retreat in the slightest. He thought about it carefully last night and felt that his mother was right. As a man, he should be more magnanimous and not lower himself to a woman's level. Therefore, he decided to coax her today. I don't want my face anymore. Who would have known that they would accuse me of cheating without saying anything else? Although it wasn't cheating on me, they were still suspecting me. Am I that kind of man in your hearts? Am I that kind of man that has no taste? That's right, we have gone mad, but we were also forced to go mad by you. Although Chinya's tone was filled with anger, if one were to listen carefully, they would actually sound a little wronged. I drove you crazy. Are you trying to drive me crazy? Then tell me, what did this woman do? Did you sleep with her? Yi Hua. You are a bastard. Donghuang Baiji immediately started scolding at Yi Hua. Donghuang Baiji did not give any evidence at all. Yi Hua seemed to have been provoked by Donghuang Baiji's words, and he said coldly, Donghuang Baiji, this entire voidless empire belongs to me, I can do whatever I want, there is no need for you to worry about it. Sure enough, after hearing Yi Hua's disguised acknowledgement, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji found it hard to believe. Their entire bodies felt as if they had been struck by lightning, and they stood on the spot unmoving. The woman who was kneeling on the ground was still trembling. His Majesty had just admitted that he had a relationship with me. How is this possible? I'm so excited, so happy. I'm even willing to die now. Suddenly, the woman saw two more figures appear. He took a peek and didn't expect it to be the other two empresses. Heavens, what was going on? Was the emperor going to break up with the empress? God, I really want to share it with others. I can't stop myself. Right now, Yi Hua appeared to be very calm, as if he had just done a big thing. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing had just arrived, and they didn't know what was going on. However, looking at Qin Ye and Dong Huang Baiji, they knew that the situation wasn't that good. Of course, there was also the woman who was kneeling on the ground. Qin Yutong didn't really believe it. No matter what, the brother-in-law wouldn't do it. Even Qian Yuqing felt the same way. Yi Hua wasn't a lecherous person to begin with. Qin Ye and Dong Huang Baiji must be thinking too much, or perhaps, they are looking for an excuse to quarrel with each other. Right now, the outside of the hotel was bustling with noise and excitement. A lot of yellow armored soldiers were beginning to clear out the hotel. This kind of situation had not happened for the past 12 years. I didn't expect that it would actually happen today. This is simply too shocking. The terrifying aura that the emperor emitted out just now is definitely related to this matter. Furthermore, it was a large-scale clearing out of the hotel. From this, it could be seen how serious this matter was. The hotel was cleared out very quickly, and the surrounding buildings were also cleared out. Everyone was frantically guessing what exactly happened. The prince had just returned yesterday, so he should be happy. However, right now, outside of the room, all of his honor's subordinates were present, and even the children were present. Even God Yi and Lu Sienna were present. Everyone could sense that the atmosphere in the room was not good, and no one dared to enter the room and anger his honor. Among all of these people, I'm afraid that Dong Huangli is the only one. After all, Dong Huangli is the most beloved child of his honor and his honor's wife. Dong Huangli also knew what she had to do. Taking a deep breath, Dong Huangli walked into the room. The subordinates peeked through the gaps. There is actually a woman kneeling down inside. My God, could it be that his honor is really here? He was even caught on the spot by your wife. Was this proof enough? Your honor, aren't you being too careless? In the future, don't be like this anymore. Next time, if you are going to do something like this, bring your subordinates along as well. Inside the house. Daddy, Mommy. Dong Huangli shouted out lightly. She felt that her father wouldn't do such a thing, and there must definitely be some misunderstanding between them. Dong Huangli called out to Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji, but Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji did not respond to her. Dong Huang Baiji could be seen fiercely attacking that woman. This was definitely not a joke. Dong Huang Baiji was planning to kill that woman. The woman kneeling on the ground was oblivious to the fact that she was about to die. After all, Dong Huang Baiji was so powerful that ordinary people would not be able to sense her power. Seeing that the woman was about to lose her life, Dong Huang Baiji seemed to have frozen in time. Evidently, it was Yi Hua who stopped the woman. After Yi Hua stopped the woman, Qin Ye and Dong Huang Baiji's hearts completely exploded. You are actually still protecting this woman. Yi Hua, you are so ruthless. Qin Ye immediately took out a machete. Yi Hua's stance had already caused the woman to faint from fright. Yi Hua said coldly, I can protect whoever I want to protect, there is no need for me to report to you. Qin Ye did not say anything, and the machete directly chopped towards the woman's neck, taking away the woman's life. Yi Hua stopped the woman once again. He didn't give them any face at all. Yi Hua, do you want her or do you want us? Qin Ye asked coldly. Your questions are truly childish. Ollie, is Daddy right? Yi Hua asked his daughter. Dong Huangli indeed felt that her mother asked a very idiotic question. However, in this sort of situation, how could she possibly remain calm? She was completely unable to remain calm. Mommy, let's talk about it after we return home. This place isn't good for us. Dong Huangli persuaded. Even Dong Huangli knew that the outside wasn't the place to deal with family matters. No, if we don't make things clear today, none of you can even think of leaving. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out coldly. All of Dong Huang Baiji's subordinates who were outside understood what Dong Huang Baiji said. Today's matter wouldn't end so happily. What are we going to do? If something happens to His Honor's marriage, sigh. Chapter 1332. Yi Yan, who was standing outside, couldn't take it anymore and pushed open the door and entered as well. Right now, only we can stop them. Yi Lu saw that her big brother had entered as well, so she entered as well. God Yi naturally had to enter as well, but he didn't bring Lu Xian along. After all, Lu Xian had not gotten married yet. It was best not to touch this kind of thing. Even Yi Juetian didn't dare to enter as his big brother and sister-in-law had already lost their temper, and only the children could stop them. Sigh, just what is going on, for things to actually become like this, it truly makes me feel ashamed. Yi Hua didn't pay attention to the children who entered as he said coldly towards Dong Huang Baiji, "What do you want to say? What do you want me to say?" "Dad, calm down, Mom didn't mean to anger you." God Yi hurriedly persuaded. Although Mom would get a bit angry in the past, she wouldn't become like this. You all can come in, but stand at the side and don't speak. Also, don't stop me, I want to see what your mom is going to do today. Yi Hua said gravely. It was very obvious that he had already exploded. Once a husband and wife explode, it would be impossible to stop them. However, as long as one of them is willing to take a step back, it would be easy to solve the problem. However, looking at the current situation, taking a step back is impossible, it is completely impossible. Yi Hua had suppressed his temper for many years, while Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji were bursting with anger. They had completely lost the ability of a woman to think. However, no woman would be able to remain calm after seeing such a situation. Seeing that their father's attitude was so firm, the children could only look towards their mother. Right now, if they were to take a step back, it would mean that they were going to break up. The children were all afraid, they were afraid that their father and mother would separate because of such a thing. Wei Chang and the others stood outside and listened to the conversation, and their expressions were very grave. In the past, when His Honor and your wife were in love, it wasn't that they didn't quarrel with each other, but His Honor had always tolerated them. Speaking of which, it's fine if a woman coaxes, but no matter how much a man coaxes, a man will get tired of it. Regarding this matter, the subordinates felt that your wife was indeed in the wrong. Comparatively speaking, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were much better. Although they were angry, they didn't have the intention to contradict His Honor. Lai Gu took a look at Wei Chang and sighed. In the past, His Honor would still put on a show to redeem himself, but from the looks of it now, it is impossible for him to put on a show. If they were to break up, His Honor would definitely not ask them to stay. This was something that was certain. I hope that for the sake of the children, your wife will stop going against His Honor. This is not good for me, and not good for His Honor as well. After causing such a huge commotion, the entire city was guessing what had happened. If this matter were to be leaked out, Voidless Empire would become the laughingstock of everyone. At that time, it would be even more difficult to deal with. When Qingye heard Yi Hua's words, her anger erupted like a volcano. Yi Hua, you ask us what we want. Why are you protecting this woman? I thought you had nothing to do with her. What's wrong with me protecting her? Do I need you to teach me how to do things? Whatever I do, I don't need any explanation. Yi Hua's tone became colder and colder, and his pair of eyes seemed especially distant, as if he was looking at a stranger. When Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji saw the change in Yi Hua, they became even more furious. For the sake of a woman, Yihua actually treated us like this. We've been with you for almost 20 years. Was this the result he got in return? Do you not want to live anymore? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. As expected, when the children heard Donghuang Baiji's words, they knew that something bad had happened. I can't say such things to my father, this is completely forcing me into a dead end. Mom, calm down a bit. Donghuang Li hurriedly pulled onto her mother. It has already been so many years, don't you know father's temper? Father is the easiest to goad. Qian Yuqing knew everything, big sister Baiji, calm down a bit. You too, don't speak. Yihua shouted lightly. It was very rare for Yihua to transfer his anger onto his tone, and even the way he spoke was very indifferent and ordinary, without much fluctuation. When the subordinates outside heard His Honor's tone, they immediately knew one thing, and that was, His Honor's death. It's not that His Honor's death, it's that His Honor's wife's death. The way of thinking of women and men is completely different. The women who were standing outside were actually able to understand His Honor's wife's feelings. Encountering such a thing, His Honor's wife's temper is really bad. His wife's temper is because she cares about His Honor too much. If His Honor doesn't care about His Honor, who would care about what His Honor is doing outside? In actuality, His Honor isn't making a fuss right now, they just want to receive His Honor's care. After so many years, the care that His Honor gave to His Honor's wife had become less and less. As a woman, this is a very bad thing. Gong Yu deeply understood what His Honor was feeling. For this matter, it can't be said that who is at fault, it can only be said that both sides are at fault. Their personalities are also a bit incompatible. They still need to get used to each other. Following Yihua's anger, the children no longer dared to make a sound. They are completely unable to help Yihua at all, and they can only hope that this matter will end soon, right? Isn't there still Grandma? If I go and find Grandma, Father will definitely give me face. Donghuang Li immediately wanted to go and find Grandma. Ah Li. Yihua called out gravely. Donghuang Li's footsteps immediately stopped, then returned back to her original position. Father is currently, Donghuang Baiji. Can you repeat what you said just now? Yihua asked gravely. Look at me now, I'm directly calling my name. In the past, Donghuang Baiji's nickname was always Her Majesty, or Baiji. Yihua calling Donghuang Baiji as Donghuang Baiji made Donghuang Baiji feel uncomfortable. Donghuang Baiji didn't have any intention of backing down, and she asked again, do you not want to live anymore? Yihua looked towards Qingye, are you going to ask this question as well? Yes. Qingye said coldly. All right. Then, I will answer this question of yours today. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing already knew the answer. It's over, are these two women only going to be happy when they are courting death? The children also knew the result. Mom, why are you so foolish? It's not like you two don't know about Dad's personality. Are you two really convinced by Dad's personality? Or could it be that, you two really don't want to live anymore with Dad? The subordinates outside sighed. In the end, things still ended up like this. Perhaps, this ending is a good thing for both sides. Being together with His Honor is already making the other party feel uncomfortable, what else can we do if we don't separate? Furthermore, as His Honor's wife, His Honor's wife's way of doing things is already a disgrace to His Honor. This is something that the subordinates are not willing to see. With a cold and detached gaze, Yihua took a look at the situation, then said faintly, since you two can't live anymore, then don't live anymore. Let's split it. Chapter 1335. Yi Juetian, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, didn't even think before speaking, and he just said whatever he thought of. I don't know just how hurtful these kinds of words are. Gong Yu was dumbfounded, and her slender body slightly trembled. Am I this kind of woman in your heart? Back then, when you persecuted Yi, I thought you had changed. I didn't expect that after so many years, you're still the same. How long do you want to hide it? Tell me. Pa. A clear and melodious sound resonated throughout the entire street. Gong Yu held onto her face, her mind was completely blank. The fiery pain on her face made her heart break. Even back then, Yi Juetian did not beat me up. However, today, mother. A manic and immature voice rang out. A ferocious aura immediately wrapped around Yi Yi's body. Looking at how wronged his mother was, Yi Yi was furious. That unfamiliar father actually hit his mother. What right do you have to hit my mother? Even if you are my father. Her little fist flew straight towards her biological father. This punch landed solidly on Yi Juetian's cheek. However, in the end, Yi Yi's strength was too small. Even if he was enraged, he was still unable to move Yi Juetian in the slightest. His entire body fell onto the ground. Gong Yu saw her son fall to the ground and quickly hugged him. Mother, Yi Juetian's chest heaved up and down. His anger hadn't dissipated at all. Scram! I don't want to see you ever again. With that, he disappeared, leaving the mother and son alone. Hearing Yi Juetian's heartless words, Gong Yu's heart split apart. After waiting for so many years, to actually hear such a sentence from Yi Juetian, what did I do wrong? Mother, let's go. Let's leave this place. Yi did not dare to say this before because he knew that his mother was waiting for his father. But why would such a heartless father come? Could it be that she couldn't live without him? At this moment, Gong Yu's heart seemed to have died. All of her hopes were completely extinguished by a single sentence from Yi Juetian. Meng Li looked at Gong Yu and the child beside her with a complicated expression. Yi Yi brought along his mother and disappeared into Wushu Empire. As for where they went, no one knew. Following the departure of the person involved, the surrounding people instantly went crazy, and the gossip spread crazily throughout the entire voidless empire. There were even many versions of it. What emperor's younger brother having an affair? That's true love. There was also the emperor's younger brother who abandoned his wife and son for the sake of a mistress. This was something that many people had seen with their own eyes. There were many other versions of the story. It was as if the royal family had lost all face and had become a laughingstock. Initially, Lin Fan had thought that the royal family of the Voidless Empire would not have anything messy to deal with. But, to think that it would be the same as the other empires, where there would be such a melodramatic plot. This was truly something that caused one to sigh endlessly. Right now, Yi Juetian directly went to look for Yi Hua. Big brother definitely knows something, big brother wouldn't lie to me, Yi wouldn't die. She was so kind, how could she die? No. Definitely not. These people were all lying to him. What did it mean by misfortune never comes alone? This was probably what it meant by misfortune never comes alone. Both brothers had encountered this kind of thing. Very quickly, Yi Juetian arrived at his big brother's sleeping quarters. Yi Hua's face was sunken as he sat on a chair and smoked. If it was any other time, Yi Juetian would definitely not anger his big brother at this time. However, this matter was related to Yi, so Yi Juetian had no choice but to ask about it. In Yi Juetian's heart, this matter was more important than anything else. It could also be said that the current Yi Juetian was the product of his impulsiveness, and he had lost his rationality. As long as he had a bit of rationality, he wouldn't do something like abandoning his wife and son. After all, the reason why Yi Juetian trained for so long was all for Yi. He was able to help Yi when she was in trouble. However, the news of Yi's death was something that Yi Juetian was unable to accept at all. Yi Hua looked at his little brother who ran into the room furiously. He took a faint look at Yi Hua, then retracted his gaze. Big brother. Yi Juetian shouted out gravely. What are you doing? Yihua asked coldly. The relationship between the two brothers immediately became strange. One dared to get angry, while the other dared to slap people. However, before Yi Juetian could reply, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing returned. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji did not return and went to Lu Jing's sleeping quarters. They were definitely pulled over by Lu Jing to talk to them. As a mother, how could Yihua ignore them? The moment Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing entered the room, they immediately discovered that the atmosphere was not right. These two brothers seem to be about to fight. What is going on? Is Yi dead or not? Yi Juetian questioned. Hearing that it was regarding Yi, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were a bit surprised. How did little Tian know about the news of Yi's death? This shouldn't be possible, didn't Gong Yu say it? This doesn't make sense, Gong Yu shouldn't have told this news to Yi Juetian. Then how did little Tian know about it? Yes. She's dead. Yihua said coldly. His heart was already extremely bad, and at this time, he still came to talk about this matter. Why didn't you tell me? What's the use of telling you? If I told you, would Yi be able to come back to life? Then why didn't you go and save Yi? Yihua suddenly stood up, and his gaze was cold like frost. This caused Yi Juetian to subconsciously take a step back. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing felt that something was wrong and hurriedly went forward to support Yihua. You two brothers should not fight anymore. If he had already saved Yi, Yihua would naturally go and save Yi, but he wasn't able to save her. Regarding this matter, Yihua felt a bit guilty and felt that he had let Yi down. However, the younger brother's question seemed to be saying, "Big brother, aren't you very awesome, why didn't you even save a woman?" This caused Yihua to become angry. Yi Juetian. Who am I going to save? If I am not going to save someone, it is not up to you to point your finger at me. Yihua pointed at Yi Juetian and shouted. He was a bit impulsive to attack Yi Juetian. Yihua wasn't the kind of person who liked to explain. Just now, he didn't explain to Qingye and the others, and right now, he wouldn't explain too much. Hearing his big brother's words, Yi Juetian's expression darkened even more. Big brother seems to be saying that I am not going to save Yi. Just as Yi Juetian was about to get angry, Wei Chang suddenly walked in. Your Honor, subordinate has something to report to you. After finished speaking, Wei Chang took a look at Yi Juetian who was at the side. Yihua said gravely, if there is anything, we can talk about it another day. Your Honor, you should listen to it first before making a decision. Yihua took a deep breath, speak then. Wei Chang walked to Yihua's side, said in a low voice, then left. Yihua's expression became even more grave. This caused Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing to be extremely worried. Just what did Wei Chang say just now? Yihua walked towards Yi Juetian, and his gaze was gloomy. Pa. Chapter 1336. This slap fiercely slapped onto Yi Juetian's face, directly knocking Yi Juetian onto the ground. Bastard! You actually chased Gong Yu and the child away. Why do I have a bastard little brother like you? Just now, what Wei Chang reported was precisely this matter. It must be said, the speed at which this matter spread was rather fast, and it instantly reached Wei Chang's ears. This matter concerns his honor's face, and it cannot be looked down upon. Hearing what Wei Chang said, Yihua was incomparably shocked. Before, he had thought that Yi's death would be a big blow to little Tian, but he didn't expect that little Tian would actually do such a thing, chasing away his wife and child. Is he still a human? I am not even a human, at most, I would only scold at my wife, I definitely wouldn't implicate the child. The main point is, the ones who are in the wrong are them. And what did that Gong Yu do wrong? Gong Yu waited for you for so long and even gave birth to your child, and yet, she was actually treated like this by you. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing were extremely shocked as they looked at Yi Juetian. They found it hard to believe that Yi Juetian would do such a thing. Perhaps Gong Yu did some excessive things in the past, but why did she do such a thing? Wasn't it all because of you? As a woman, Qin Yutong was still able to understand the pain in Gong Yu's heart. However, who could understand the world in Yi Juetian's heart? In order to become stronger, in order to be able to help Yi, even if it was just a little bit, he went to train, and he left for 12 years. Although 12 years wasn't much compared to a long life, it was still a lot of days and nights where he experienced life and death. Yi Juetian longed so much to see Yi again and tell her that he had matured, that he had become steady, that he was able to let her settle down. There are too many things that I wanted to say to Yi, but to tell him right now that Yi had already died long ago. How could he possibly accept this? He felt as if he had completely gone crazy, as if the entire world was against him. Who would be able to understand this kind of feeling? The bridge in his heart collapsed with a loud bang. This could only mean that Yi's position in Yi Juetian's heart was too important. No matter if it was out of love or guilt towards Yi, Yi Juetian wanted to make it up to her. Yi Juetian, who was knocked onto the ground, touched the corner of his mouth. Looking at the bloodstain on his thumb, Yi Juetian said gravely, "Brother, you have always been thinking about yourself. I finally understand why sister-in-law quarreled with you. It is because you are selfish. Everyone has to revolve around you, and everyone has to listen to you. It used to be like this, and it's still like this now. You never consider other people's feelings." Yi Juetian seemed to have gone mad and directly said it out loud. This was really insulting the heavens and the earth. Qian Yuqing hurriedly persuaded, "Xiao Tian, speak less." Qian Yuqing was really afraid that Yi Hua would slap Xiao Tian to death. Upon hearing that, Yi Hua suddenly laughed. "You are saying that I am selfish? What about yourself? You even chased away your wife and child. Compared to you, who is more selfish? Did you think that you would chase Gong Yu away just because she hid the news of Yi's death? Actually, it was I who told her to stop talking. Yi is already dead. This is an unchangeable law. I didn't let you know because I didn't want to see you like this. Have you ever thought about how Gong Yu has been living all these years? When you chased Gong Yu away, have you ever thought about her feelings? What qualifications do you have to lecture me?" "Ah!" Yi Hua shouted out in anger, and a burst of qi exploded out from his body, directly sending Yi Juetian flying onto the pillar. "Brother-in-law, calm down, don't be impulsive." Qin Yutong's head was about to explode. Yesterday was actually a good day. Why did everyone return? Why did the situation become even worse? Yi Hua did not pay attention to Qin Yutong and walked in front of his little brother, then grabbed onto Yi Juetian's collar. "I'm telling you. You better find Gong Yu and the child. If not, you can just die outside for me." After finished speaking, Yi Hua directly flung Yi Juetian, and like a cannonball, Yi Juetian crashed into the wall outside, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. Yi Juetian fell onto the ground with a wooden look on his face. His eyes were lifeless as he looked blankly at the sky. His brain was no longer able to think normally. "So I misunderstood Gong Yu. Gong Yu only listened to Big Brother's words. She, F***ck. Yi Hua couldn't help but curse out, then smashed the wooden chair beside him into pieces. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing didn't know how to console Yi Hua, and in the end, they decided to let Yi Hua calm down first. Right now, no matter what they said, Yi Hua wouldn't listen to them. At this moment, the news also reached Lu Jing's ears. After hearing it, Lu Jing's entire body didn't feel good, and she seemed as if she was going to faint. Why did the relationship matters between my two sons become like this? Upon seeing that, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi immediately held on to Lu Jing. "Mother, what happened? What happened? This bastard little Tian. To actually do such a thing. This is simply the misfortune of our family. Lu Jing held onto her forehead, and her face was filled with grief. Gong Yu is such a good child, and yet, she was actually chased away by your father. Did your conscience get eaten by a dog? You simply don't know how much hardship Gong Yu had to go through all these years. As a man, you actually hit your own woman. This is too disappointing. Thoroughly disappointing. Everyone felt very sad about Yi's death, but we shouldn't blame this matter on Gong Yu, and we shouldn't use Gong Yu to vent our anger on. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. Little Tian actually did such a thing. As expected of brothers, these two brothers are not good people. One is fooling around outside, and the other dares to chase away his wife and child. Like big brother, like little brother. I'm tired, I want to rest for a bit. Lu Jing said in a low voice. I don't really want to care about this anymore, this is too torturous. My two sons are going to torment me to death sooner or later. Mother, you should rest well then, we will be leaving first. Lu Jing nodded her head. At the doorway, Dong Huangli and Yi Yan were both waiting for their mother to come out. The children were both mentally and physically exhausted. They didn't expect that such a thing would happen right after they came back. As expected of the saying, every family has its own difficulties. This was a law that would never change. No matter how powerful a family was, such a melodramatic plot would still appear. I wonder if Grandma's persuasion will work. Yi Lu said in a low voice. God Yi stood at the side and didn't say anything. Lu Xiener, who was at the side, felt that the relationship between God Ye's family was rather complicated. Perhaps it will work. Yi Yan said faintly. There was a crack in the relationship between father and mother. With father's temper, he would definitely not apologize, and mother's temper was rather tyrannical as well. If this goes on, it will be over for them sooner or later. When you adults quarrel, isn't it the children who suffer? Sigh, it's not that simple. Dong Huangli said lightly. At this moment, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji pushed open the door and walked out. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.